Hello, my name's Brenda Ryan and I'm just one part of the duo that makes up Hare's Nest Stitchery. Today I'd like to take you through a variation on blanket stitch. There are hundreds of variations of blanket stitch, but this is one that I have discovered myself, and I've called this variation Brenda's Braid. Brenda's Braid is my own variation of blanket stitch. I like to use Brenda's Braid to provide some definition to a line of blanket stitch, and I'll now show you some variations in my own work. This is an example of the use that I have made of Brenda's Braid. This is in a recent publication we made of a little bag called The Owl and the Pussycat. So this is the bag, this is the front of the bag, and I can show you here where I have used Brenda's Braid. This was on the top edge of the boat. This along here was a line of blanket stitch, and I stitched this using trois, 3 strands from Cottage Garden Threads. I then went back and did the manoeuvre with filling all the spokes in the blanket stitch with the filling stitch. That's working from the back of the boat downwards. The other side of the boat, here, again this was working Brenda's Braid all along here, starting by working a line of blanket stitching and then filling it here. The only thing you need to remember when working this stitch is that when you're doing the filling section of the stitch, you need to be working with the looped edge of the blanket stitch on your left, so that when I did this one I had to start from up here and work back to fill, and on this one, because the looped edge of the stitch was here, I had to fill from here. As you can see here, I've worked a line of plain blanket stitch all the way down there. This has been filled, but I'll show you the actual filling process here. Now to fill this line of blanket stitch, you can see here I've made these setup stitches. These 4 are wider, these are narrower. So I've taken a different coloured thread. This is a Cottage Garden Pearl 12, and I'm going to fill these bars. So I've got one with a blanket stitch. So I'm not going into the fabric, I'm just going under the bar. 2, 3, and then pull the thread gently to the left and fill the next bar, or partly fill the next bar. You can completely fill it if you want it to disappear, or leave a little edge on it. 2, 3, you will find, if you have a look in books of lace making and the like, and other work, that when you're doing this sort of a process, when you have a stitch that you've already worked and then you're altering, that stitch becomes what we call a bar. And if in reading something you see the word bar, you know that that is what you will be using to do the stitching through, not through the fabric. So there's those 3 bars filled. And then I come to the smaller ones. One, I'll still put 3 in these. 2, 3. You can work this stitch in a hoop. I don't like to use hoops myself, but I understand that many people do. 1, 2, 3. 1, 'Just pull that out of the road. There we go. And to finish this stitch, you take a stitch through to the back. So that's Brenda's braid worked in a cream with a pearl thread on top. This is a yellowy coloured pearl thread and with a pink on the top. And this is a setup there for the entire process. The main thing with performing this manoeuvre is to keep the thread, that when you're working it, make sure that the looped edge is on the left and that you fill the bars, pulling each one to the left as you work. Thank you. Thank you all for watching our video on Brenda's braid. I will have some links in the description to our website, haresneststitchery.com, and on our page on cottagegardenthreads.com.au. This has been Brenda Ryan from Hare's Nest Stitchery, and remember, keep stitching.